The year is 1212. Europe is having a moment. The Fourth Crusade, just a few years prior, had brilliantly missed the Holy Land entirely and sacked Constantinople, a Christian city, instead. A truly masterful strategic blunder that set the bar pretty high for future failures. In the midst of this religious fervor and general competence, people started thinking. They thought, the professional soldiers, the knights, the nobles, they're all too sinful to retake Jerusalem. Who is pure enough for this holy task? The answer, arrived at with impeccable logic, was obviously children. Unarmed, untrained, and generally bad at long-distance walking. Out of this environment of genius problem-solving, two stars emerge. First, in France, we have a shepherd boy named Stephen of Cloyes. Stephen claimed he had a letter for the French king, personally delivered to him by Jesus Christ. Apparently, Jesus was moonlighting as a courier. Meanwhile, over in Germany, a boy named Nicholas of Cologne was having his own revelations. He wasn't just aiming to deliver mail, he was going to march to the Mediterranean Sea, which would miraculously part for him and his followers. Because if it worked once in the Old Testament, it's basically a repeatable scientific experiment. Stephen, armed with his divine correspondence, managed to attract a crowd. We're told it was around 30,000 followers, a number you should take with a huge grain of medieval salt. They marched to Saint-Denis, near Paris, to have a word with King Philip II. The king, displaying a shocking amount of rationality for the era, consulted with academics at the University of Paris. Their verdict was, essentially, this is a terrible idea. So Philip, the designated adult in the room, ordered the crowd to disperse. And they mostly did. The French chapter of this story ends not with a bang, but with a lot of awkward shuffling and a long walk home. Nicholas of Cologne's venture was a different story. He gathered his own massive following, possibly tens of thousands, and set off south with a singular goal: get to the sea, watch it split, and stroll to the Holy Land. Their route took them over the Alps. It's a lovely journey now with tunnels and comfortable tour buses. In 1212, it was a death trap of starvation, exposure, and treacherous terrain. An estimated 2/3 of his followers probably perished or deserted before they even saw Italy. The universe, it seems, did not grate on enthusiasm. The survivors eventually staggered into the Italian port city of Genoa in August 1212. They arrived at the coast, tired, hungry, and expectant. Nicholas presumably gave the sea his sternest look. The Mediterranean, having existed for millions of years without instructions from German teenagers, refused to cooperate. The waters remained stubbornly unparted. A truly shocking development for everyone involved. Some of the disillusioned kids just stayed in Genoa and tried to find work. A core group, still clinging to hope, continued on to Pisa. From Pisa, where the sea also failed to perform its party trick, the most devout followers continued all the way to Rome. Here, they got an audience with Pope Innocent III. This is the same pope who launched the Fourth Crusade, so his track record with successful holy wars was already a bit spotty. He met with the children, praised their zeal, and then gently but firmly released them from their crusading vows. He told them to go home. He understood that piety was great, but sending an army of children to fight seasoned warriors was, to use a theological term, a catastrophically stupid plan. So, what happened to the rest? The story gets even darker, though it's likely embellished. The legend, popularized by later chroniclers, says that a group that made it to Pisa was offered passage by two merchants. Their names were supposedly Hugh the Iron and William the Pig, which doesn't exactly inspire confidence. They allegedly crammed the kids onto 7 ships. 2 of these ships sank in a storm, drowning everyone aboard. The other 5, instead of sailing to the Holy Land, were diverted to North Africa, where the surviving children were sold into slavery. It's a horrifically neat ending, perfect for a cautionary tale, and almost certainly an exaggeration created long after the fact. Now for the part where history ruins the fun. Most modern scholars agree the Children's Crusade wasn't really a crusade, nor was it entirely made up of children. The Latin word used in the chronicles is pueri, which can mean boys, but was also a common term for the wandering, landless poor. This was likely a series of unauthorized popular pilgrimages by the dispossessed, people with nothing to lose. The innocence was less about age and more about their poverty and powerlessness. The dramatic story of parted seas and evil merchants was probably stitched together later to make a theological point. Unauthorized religious movements without church approval and in absolute disaster. A very convenient lesson for the church to promote. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!